What's up, everyone? Chef Ball back at it, and today we're going to be making Cinnamon Swirl Cinnamon Rolls. Yeah, you heard that right. This is a very complex recipe, but it's going to make a great final product. I've only made this once before. It came out fantastic, so I figured I have some free time. Let's make the video. So let's get right to the chase here. Dry ingredient-wise, 1 scoop of the Cellucor Cinnamon Swirl Whey protein, touch of cinnamon, touch of Splenda, about a teaspoon of baking powder, a little bit over 1/3 of a cup of Complete Pancake mix or flour. I used 50 grams worth, and that is all in this bowl right here. Our last dry ingredient is going to be cereal. Now you can use any kind of cereal you want. I'm using Honey Nut Cheerios. I don't have much on hand, and this is the closest thing that's cinnamony. I should have got cinnamon burst Cheerios to have this. So what can you do? You can either put it in a bag and mash it up to make it a fine powder, or throw it in a magic bullet or a Nutri-Blend or whatever they're called, a Ninja blender, and that's our final ingredient. Why cereal? Well, it's going to help with a little bit of firmer texture to really get that cinnamon roll good outside texture, and then we're also going to get our filling as well. Now let's talk about the wet ingredients. Wet ingredients I have right here. I used first of all, we'll talk about the recipe here. 1 egg, 2 egg whites, about 1/3 of a cup of almond breeze, which is almond milk, about 90 grams worth. And then also I made a filling for the cinnamon rolls, which is Cellucor Cinnamon Swirl, my favorite, protein pudding. I used the Carbmaster, which was a cinnamon roll flavor. Ironic, right? So Cinnamon Roll Carbmaster, I used 1 scoop of the Cellucor Whey, and I used about 2 tablespoons of fat-free cream cheese, all mixed together in this bowl. That will be our filling for our cinnamon rolls. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to take our dry ingredients, combine them with our wet, which is our almond milk, as so, and our eggs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a whirl on a low speed, and I will be right back. Now that we have everything mixed up in our bowl, it should not be as thick as our normal rising recipes. This should be more like a crepe like I've made before, because we want it to spread evenly on a 9x9 sheet. Now what I have here is our oven preheated to 350 degrees. We are going to bake this mixture about 20 to 25 minutes until the bottom becomes a firm. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cooking spray and really make sure we get our 9x9. And what we're going to do with our mixture is, because it's on the thinner side, it's going to be easier to spread, and that's what we want. So I'm slowly going to start to pour it down, and you can see as it comes out, it's not as thick as our usual recipe, which is good because this is what makes it easier to spread. So I'm going to make sure I really scrape the edges well and get our cinnamon swirl base for our cinnamon roll on our sheet here. Now, the next step is to slowly spread this out and make like a big square. The thinner you make it, it's probably going to be the easier, because when we add our filling, you'll have a lot more room to play with. So as you can see, I'm just kind of trying to spread this out and keep it in a square. And that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to bake this, like I said, 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes, and we want to make sure we have a nice even layer spread evenly across. So I'm going to pop this in the oven, and guys, when I come back in 20 to 25 minutes, I'm going to hit it with a toothpick, and then I will tell you how we proceed with our cinnamon rolls. So in the oven we go, and I will check in 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, out of the oven, as you can see, I've had it sitting here on this cooling rack for a couple minutes. Now, why would I let it cool for a little bit? Well, 1, to check to make sure if the toothpick's clean, and 2, we want this to cool down before we place on our filling, which is our sludge, or our protein pudding. What you're going to want to do first is take a spatula and just run it underneath. And you should be able to get right underneath it as seen. That's good because now we're going to be able to roll our cinnamon roll and bake it at its final stage. So I'm going to jack up the oven to 400, and now I'm going to apply the protein pudding. So just take it with a spoon and slowly rinse it along for the filling. And very simple. Just like you did with your mix and laying it out, that's all you do with your pudding. And if you wanted to, you could add a little bit more Splenda and a little bit more cinnamon to give it a little bit more kick. But the batter alone will be pretty freaking strong, so just be cautious about that. But overall, don't be afraid to load this up because it's only going to give you a little bit more cream when you go to take a bite out of your filling. So we'll try to cover the whole parameter here and the diameter, and we will be good to go. Now the hardest part now is rolling this up, and you have to be really careful because you could break it. So we're slowly going to take it and roll this over. And the outside may be a little on the crispy side, but that's fine. When we roll this, as you can see here, as I'm starting to roll it here, we're just going to roll this all the way across. And make sure you go slow, keep it nice and tight, because that way it will give your final product a better taste, and also it will bind better in the end. So, as you can see, I've had no problems holding this together the entire time so far, so that's good. And that's what you would expect when baking, especially if you sprayed this down enough, so that's another key thing. So, as this does get bigger, make sure you keep it nice and tight, as seen. And there we go, guys. A big cinnamon roll, as you can see. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple toothpicks just to hold it down. So I'm going to place one on the side, in the middle, and on the far side, as you can see here, with our big cinnamon roll. Now I'm just going to bake this for about 3 to 5 minutes just to kind of tighten it up and get that filling in there, and then we'll pull it out and we'll slice it up, alright? After taking it out of the oven for the final time, I allowed the final big cinnamon roll, which you saw, to sit for about 5 minutes. I took a knife and slowly cut it down the center, like the long one would be, and we get our small little cinnamon rolls. Guys, very simple, very easy. Cinnamon Swirl Cinnamon Rolls. The whole recipe, believe it or not, is 15 grams of fat, 75 grams of carbs, and about 75 grams of protein. You can reduce the fat a little bit if you want to use all egg whites. I will include the full recipe, the directions, and the macros in the comment box below on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe, please like the video. Also follow me on Instagram, which is the same name, B. Kupneski. I hope to see you guys follow along. Any recipe suggestions, shoot them my way. From Chef Bob Kitchen to you, Cellucor, Cinnamon Swirl, Cinnamon Roll.